Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Time with your Banker and Financial Advisor, brought to you by Ecobank Ghana Limited. We are going to look at banking and its role in the economy. Stay glued to your seat. We'll be right back.
For quick and easy banking on your mobile, like checking your balance or transferring money, use our mobile banking services today. To find out more, visit us online at ecobank.com. Move on up with Ecobank, the Pan-African bank.
Welcome back, viewers. This program is sponsored by Ecobank Ghana Limited. With me today is the principal of the National Banking College, Mr. Philip Kwesi Boabin. Sir, you are very welcome.
Thank you.
I've known Mr. Boabin since 1991. A very seasoned banker indeed. We're going to look at banking, how it originated and how it came to Ghana and its role in the economy. Sir, you are welcome again.
Thank you.
So banking, how did it get to Ghana?
The story dates back to 1896, when the Bank of British West Africa was established. By the colonialists, of course. And the success of this bank enabled other banks to also want to come in. So in 1918, the Colonial Bank, which later metamorphosed into Barclays, also came in. And basically, these banks were to further the business interest of the colonialists, as well as the colonial government. So in 1953, when Ghana started self-rule, 1952, Kwame Nkrumah decided that, look, we also need a local business, a local bank that can also promote local businesses.
Was it that the foreign banks were looking into the businesses of foreign?
Well, they know their people, they understand their systems, and therefore, naturally, they will not be too keen in promoting local entrepreneurs. And so when the Numados and all those come up, Kwame Nkrumah found a dialogue. There's also the need for us to get our own local bank that will understand the business of the local entrepreneurs and promote the business of the local entrepreneurs.
The staff were even foreigners.
Oh, well.
And it can be intimidating.
Yeah, banking had been brought new, and therefore it will take time for the local to come on board. So it will not be... it's natural that it should be so. Yeah. So in 1953, our good old Ghana Commercial Bank, now GCB Bank, was established to promote local business, so to say. Then in 1957, the Bank of Ghana was established, and the main purpose of the establishment of Bank of Ghana was to manage the country's currencies.
But before Bank of Ghana was established, which of the banks was the central bank? Because if there is a banking system operating, there should be a central bank.
Ghana Commercial Bank was sort of playing that role of banker to the government.
But before Ghana Commercial Bank?
Oh, of course, the British colonial banks will be doing that. Yes. Remember, we were not independent at that time. Yes, so Central Bank of the country, we were not independent at that time. But when we became independent, then there was the need for us to get our own central bank to manage our own currency. Remember those days we didn't have our own currency, we were using the pound.
The pound,
yes.
The shillings.
So 1957, when we became independent, there was the need for us to have our own Bank of Ghana Central Bank to manage our currency.
And get our own currency as well.
Sure. And then 1989, the banking law, PNDC law, 225 was promulgated, and some local banks were incorporated. You know, realized that GC, Ghana Commercial Bank alone, was not enough in promoting the business of Ghanaian enterprises. So we had local banks coming in. The Trust Bank came in. The Metropolitan and Allied Bank came in. That was in 1964. They were incorporated as local banks.
64, Trust Bank.
1974.
1974.
Yes.
Oh, so then the
1974.
Trust Bank was established earlier.
Yes, I said by 1974.
By 1974.
Yes. Again, it was found out that Ghana is a development country. And as a development country, the commercial banks were more interested in commercial business and possibly their profits, so to say. So there was a need for some governmental interventions to establish development finance institutions, banks with focus, special vehicle banks. So the National Investment Bank was established, I think somewhere in 1963, to look at the promotion of local industries. Yes. The Agri-Development Bank to look at the focus being agric. The Bank for Housing and Construction was established, the focus being housing and construction. And the Merchant Bank was also established. Merchant Bank ensuring that international trade, foreign trade is of possibly more of local people, local entrepreneurs, local businessmen are promoted.
Then the Cooperative Bank.
Well, yeah. Cooperative bank. Yes, cooperative bank from the cooperatives, to again also
from the cooperative societies.
Also cooperative societies
Yeah.
also to help the cooperative spirit and indigenous business.
That was made solely into microfinance.
That was
The Cooperative Bank. I think the intention of the government was to go into microfinance because those days the cooperative societies were in the remote and rural areas.
Yes.
But I think that it was defeated.
That time this idea of microfinance was not so popular. And of course, you see, as far back, you have National Savings, Post Office Savings Bank.
Post Office, I know, National Savings and Loans.
Yes, you see, so at least in those days, there were efforts to ensure that the rural communities and the banks were, in a way, also be satisfied.
And so it's like the citizens were being encouraged to
the
cultivate the habit
banking
of
culture,
saving.
yes, to be inculcated in the general public, downstream to the rural communities.
But was this achieved? Looking back.
Well, your guess is good as mine. They face their own challenges. We know the story that how Cooperative Bank ended. Of course,
that's for Bank for Housing.
Savings, Post Office Savings Bank was swallowed by SSB. SSB, and then the story of SSB also came to be different, having merged up with, and the whole lot of development, possibly the development may also explain how, for example, corporate SSB had to merge with SSB. That's somewhere around
of cooperative.
Of course, the liquidation of Cooperative Bank and Bank for Housing. These are all some of the challenges that came with this specialized development finance. When you don't stay within your lane focus and you, it's not their fault. You also have to ensure that the bottom line you get in place, you declaring profits, and therefore you go commercial and do things that
you have not been licensed
and you are not trained to do. And the history is out there for us. The Bank for Housing had to collapse under fraud, credit fraud, and the Cooperative Bank also had to go under. Then in the Banking Act came in 2004, realized that, I think the regulators realized that there was the need to revigorate the banking. So the minimum capital, for example, was increased from 60 million in 2007. In fact, now it's 100 million.
Is it dollars or cedis?
Cedis. We are seeing no dollarization. The universal banking license was issued also. Now, previously, prior to this, you either are a commercial bank, a development bank, or a merchant bank.
Yeah, a merchant
yes.
bank. We forgot to mention merchant bank when we were then.
Yeah, merchant bank would come in. Merchant bank came in. Yes, merchant bank.
They were then the only bank doing wholesale banking.
Merchant bank. In fact, Carl Bank will also say merchant bank. Carl Bank.
They came in later.
Carl Bank came in as Continental Acceptance Bank.
Yeah, that's why it's Carl.
Yes, it came in as Continental Acceptance Bank. So it also came as merchant bank. But it was realized that, well, why this dichotomy? So in 2007, thereabout, this dichotomy between development banking, commercial banking, and merchant banking was removed. So you can, once you are licensed as a bank, you can do in the all the three.
But is that helping? Because, you know, initially, cooperative were to go into the micro sector, help develop the small businesses, the SMEs, and then you look at Bank for Housing. So their main business is to see to construction of homes for citizens. You look at ADB solely to develop agric sector. Now that the license is open for universal banking, some key areas, you know, bankers, we are into trading and we are into looking out for businesses. So where the business is not lucrative, most banks will not go there, but channel their funding to the places they think they will end.
Yes, you are right. To some extent, some vacuum or gaps are created, and that's how it comes from. But you know that Exim Bank is on the verge of coming on board, you know, and specifically to look at financing export and import. So it's like a Sankofa.
Oh, okay.
We are going back to development banking. Yes, because we as a developing country,
we need that.
We need that.
And those areas needs to be subsidized, because sometimes they have lean, especially the agricultural sector. They have lean season, so interest rate to those areas must be looked into.
Well, you see, these days, when you talk of subsidies in this period of liberalization, you know, and it doesn't so much synchronize with the times. There are other avenues to ensure that to motivate the banks or whatever institution to go in there. For example, ADB has times that ADB will not pay tax. In fact, ADB is tax exempt.
Because
you are in agri. And so there can also be various tax exemption incentives for banks and other specialized banks who go into those developmental need areas.
Like a form of motivation.
Yes, to entice them, to motivate, to want them to go in there. Yes.
So we'll take a short break. Viewers, we'll take a short break. We'll be back.
For quick and easy banking on your mobile, like checking your balance or transferring money, use our mobile banking services today. To find out more, visit us online at ecobank.com. Move on up with Ecobank, the Pan-African bank.
Welcome back, viewers. We've been discussing how banking started in Ghana with our principal of the National Banking College, Mr. Philip Boaben. This program is sponsored by EcoBank, Ghana Limited. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. So, still on how banks started, you were talking about initially banks being licensed to operate certain areas of the economy, and now the liberalization. Now the universal banking license issued out so that all banks can kind of trade. And then you were talking about the incentive to be given to banks that will want to go to the developing areas of the economy. We just talked about ADB being tax exempted so that they can kind of penetrate into the agricultural sector. And indeed, there are sometimes they give out loans that go bad because the sector is such that it is being regulated by nature. If the harvest season is lean, it is not anyone's doing. If nature does not favor the farmer, how does the farmer pay? And that's why the incentive. And you were suggesting that government should give more such incentives to other banking institutions also that will want to go into various sectors that are deprived. I think it's a laudable idea.
Yes, and the banks should also make conscious effort to understand those areas, understand the dynamics of agric and the other SME sector. The banks should make conscious effort to understand the way they work and not just to see them like any other corporate entity.
But agric is also our backbone. So I think more banks should be interested in going into that area. At least they owe the citizen a social responsibility, kind of.
Yes, and that's also why, as a nation, we also all have to make conscious effort to develop the infrastructure base for effective takeoff in agricultural financing. We talk about by the grace of God agriculture. I know where either if it rains so much, it's a problem. Trouble. If it rains too little, it's trouble. If the rain doesn't come at the right time, it's trouble. But if there's irrigation schemes, around whereby the farmers can have consistent rain, then it will be less risky for the banks and other financiers to go into finance. But we really need agricultural financing.
Yeah, because banks will tell you that they are trading with people's monies. And those people will want returns on their money, so they can't risk going to certain areas that will not benefit them.
Well, but banks also operate within the real economy, and agriculture they play major role, backbone economy, and if the real economy is not performing, the banks will also not perform.
Yeah, so they should try and take risks and go into those areas at least. A percentage.
Understand the risk and know how to manage the risk.
It depends on the appetite, though. The risk appetite.
Well.
Yes, sir. So we were on other banks being kind of motivated by government so they can go into developing sectors of the economy. Yes. What do you suggest again that can be done?
Not just agric. It's laudable that the government is moving into export and import. In fact, I want the emphasis to be on export financing.
More.
But yes, more. And I will advise that we take lesson from the failures of the development finance institutions that were established earlier, who sort of lost their focus because of challenges, including political interference from all states, which will not allow these development finance institutions to actually work as independent entities to pursue and achieve the objective for which they were set up. But I think that it's a lot of activity that we should promote exports. If you promote exports, the CD depreciation is basically fundamentally a demand and supply currency issue. And therefore, if we make conscious effort as a nation to develop the export sector, then we will be in a better position to stem the
Yeah, I'm looking at how the banks can go into that area and work vis-a-vis with the government to develop the deprived areas.
Yes, it depends upon the bankable projects that are available. I believe that ISADA is able to bring out bankable projects, package them in a way that is feasible to the banks. Why not? Banks are in the business of selling money. They'll go in there and assist.
Yeah. So says still on universal banking and its banking being liberalized. Way forward. Yeah, you were talking about liberation. Now we have the regional banks in operation.
Oh, yes. That is where every economy is going. You recall when the regional banks came in, they actually revolutionized the state of banking in Ghana. I think now about 20% of the total banking population are from Nigeria, regional banks. And the IT platform is quite good. Competition that has been brought into the system is good for the whole of the entirety of the banking industry.
But they're not chasing the same customers?
Oh, yes. It's the same Ghana, and therefore it's the same Ghanaian customers that they would chase. But at least there were some innovations. You remember when those days Standard Trust, which now UBA, they came and then they were talking about cashless account, and people would say, but how possible? How can you open an account with cash, without cash? You understand? These were all innovations, and now you look. All other banks are doing it now. Other banks are giving cash vouchers free. You give you free money, come and open an account. You are seeing? And so the innovations that they brought into the system is awesome.
Competition has really brought innovation, a lot of innovation. Yeah. So how many banks do we have so far?
We have about 30 banks for now, yes. Sovereign and others being the latest, yes, 30 banks for now.
30 banks in the country?
Yes.
I think it's on the higher side because aside savings and loans, microfinances, and other...
To be say on the higher side is relative.
Anyway.
What's our population? And what's the number, the percentage of unbanked population? People are out of the view that, well, instead of having 30 banks, for example, we can still have fewer banks with very huge capital. But the other side of it is that, well, if I have my money, I set up my bank, I can decide to be small.
And still operate.
Subject to the capitalization requirements of the Bank of Ghana, because, of course, Bank of Ghana the regulator cannot just see anybody to come and say, I'm setting a bank and I want to be small, so no. Because you're going to use other people's money and your capital base is necessary to act as a cushion, for possible losses and other things. So the capital requirements fine. It's debatable as to whether 30 banks are too many or whether that should be measured. But unfortunately, you see, the initial thought behind the capitalization.
So we'll take a short break. We'll take a short break. Viewers will take a short break. We'll be right back. This program is sponsored by EcoBank Ghana Limited, the Pan-African Bank.
For quick and easy banking on your mobile, like checking your balance or transferring money, use our mobile banking services today. To find out more, visit us online at ecobank.com. Move on up with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Viewers, welcome back. We're still with Mr. Philip Boabin, the principal of the National Banking College. This program is sponsored by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. So we were talking about the number of banks in the economy now, vis-a-vis savings and loans and microfinance, apart from the normal susu collectors and the normal money lenders. And we were discussing whether there is the need for all these financial institutions and the economy. And you were saying it's debatable.
No, the debatable issue is whether, for example, one group of people will say that instead of 30 banks, let's have some few banks with huge capital. And another will say that, well, I can decide to be small. That is why I want to have a niche, you know. And we're saying that one of the thoughts behind the increased capitalization, apart from ensuring that the banks are well cushioned to take up big ticket transactions. Remember, we're now in an oil economy. You know,
that needs large volumes.
Yes, apart from that, one of the thoughts behind, possibly by the regulators, was the fact that, well, this will also force the banks to merge. But the results were not too good. Well, anyway, we had
merging, like two or three banks coming together.
Access Bank, for example, merged with Intercontinental Bank.
Yeah, so that at least they can get the capital
similar banks, smaller banks, but with huge capital.
Yeah.
So you had it.
So that they can go into
big ticket transactions.
But is it working? Or the only one I heard of is Access.
Access Bank taking over Intercontinental Bank.
And
TTB, EcoBank taking over TTB.
They don't say taking over. They say it's a merger.
Oh, a merger, a merger.
And then Fidelity and ProCredit.
Fidelity, ProCredit. Yes, these are all developments, you know. And HFC Bank, you know. We'll call that one a merger
or takeover. That's another.
I want to ask you before you ask me. So these are all offshoots, you know, of the increased capitalization. At least one effect is to encourage mergers. But I think more mergers are encouraged.
So unfortunately, our time is up, as it's becoming interesting. So I don't know whether you can make time for us to continue this discussion, maybe next week.
At the service of the banking industry and Mother Ghana.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Viewers, this is where we'll end today's episode. Thanks for watching Time with Your Banker and Financial Advisor, sponsored by EcoBank Ghana Limited. I'm your banker, Betty Ayi. We hope to see you next week.